I'm not trying to go in and change your governments, because that's years and years of thoughts, of, way of doing things. And a lot of times that's the big dinosaurs in the room. And I say that lightly because, yes, I do work with the governments right here and in, throughout all countries that I love, and I have the respect, but I understand those systems, and those systems have been put in place, and it's so hard to move. It's almost like they've crusted over, and, like a scab crusts over something. So, but then what happens with that scab? That scab eventually falls off, and so I know. So I'm not concerned with trying to deal with that scab. I'll let that fall off, that because time will take that off. But in the meantime, I'm going to put the necessary blood and the necessary nutrients into that's up under that scab. If you understand my analogy.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Not just that I understand it, I also love it. I like the approach that you're taking. That it is the people that is going to make the change. Also because the change is going to affect the people directly. I'm only actually more concerned of the how, and of course you already showed part of it. But now look at some of the what are the excuses on the part of these Nigerians out there, these our brothers and all of us, me included, because you have a lot of dealings with Nigeria and in Nigeria, and by extension, and so many other Africans. What excuses do they give you as to why they are in the West, in the diaspora, instead of maybe in Africa or in Nigeria, be the field workers?
They're here because they have the best way, and this said a lot here in America, they bought the dream. They bought the dream, and they believe it's like you're living in a fantasy. It's like Disneyland. If I don't know if you've ever been there, but Disneyland is, it's a magical place. Well, it's a place of fantasy. It's a place where, kids can go, and they got rides, big teacup rides, literally like a teacup, and you're riding around in a teacup. Okay, you're never going to ride around in a teacup. Okay, but it's a ride, it's a fantasy. It has, a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it's not real. And so what they do is they buy the dream, and they believe the fantasy, and they believe that what they have here is their kingdom. There's a movie. I'm just going to digress for a moment, if you would allow me. There's a movie, Coming to America, and with Eddie Murphy. And a lot of people have seen that movie.
I've seen it
And
too.
you've
Yes.
seen that. Okay. Well, there's a piece. There is almost like there's one line, one exchange between him and Mr. McDowell. He's working for Mr. McDowell, as doing the cleanup and doing that sort of thing, mopping the floors, right? He's the king. He's a prince at that time. And so when Mr. McDowell asks him to come over to his home, and he looks at it, then he's showing them all around and what he wants them to do and stuff. And so he says, well, you keep working hard, and one day, you could be in a place like this. You could have this is, this is my castle. I'm the king of my castle. And you could have a place that looks like this. And that's what he has, that house there, right? And it's big, it's beautiful. And so what does Eddie Murphy say? The prince, he says, if this was my aspirations, I don't think I'd be, and he didn't really say it out loud to him. He's kind of muttering it up under his breath. The audience could hear it. And Mr. McDowell, he's going away somewhere else. He's not trying to embarrass him. But basically what he's saying is, if this could not be my kingdom, because he's looking at this is just a single house. And then you see later on in the movie where where his kingdom actually is, and what all he really has. Okay. And but what happens is when they come to America, I tell you, Obihai, they get into that house. They get into those cities, into the condominium, or have their fast and fancy cars, and they buy the dream. They think this is it. And they're not realizing, this is not it. All that you have there is way more than what you can have here. We don't even have, you can put this whole country on your continent, what, 6 times, and we still haven't covered the whole country, the whole continent. I mean, come on. So there's no way, there's never a way. Those numbers, it's like, come on, the numbers don't work. They don't work, no matter which way you try to do it.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. And this is why I also like this conversation, that we must talk to ourselves and we have to be very frank about it too. All right. Now, I understand that you are very, as a member of the diaspora and also working in the in finance and looking at data. Of course, you cross our data to understand what is happening. You might have somehow heard the news of the African crossing to Europe, no? Several thousands of them die every year to cross to Europe. Do you think that there could be something that is foiling this migration? Why Africa are running away? Of course, I came to Europe from Africa too. Though I didn't pass there, I got a visa and I'm here. Of course, I'm part of them. I'm not different from any other African who have migrated from Africa to Europe. As if we are looking at a way that we can stay in our home and live proper lives. Do you think that there could be any explanation as to why people are being pulled away from their home?
Well, what happens is this. If you remember the childhood, you asked me about my childhood and what was going on there. There is and this came actually, the story came out of Europe, and the childhood story called the Pied Piper. And the Pied Piper in the childhood nursery rhymes, the Pied Piper goes into all these different towns throughout all the different lands. That means throughout all the world, okay? And he has like a flute, and he plays a song. But the only ones that are attracted to the songs are the children, not the adults. And so he goes throughout the towns, and he plays the songs, and then the children, they hear it, and then he tells them, at a certain time, we're going to all get together and we're going to all leave, and we're going to go and play a game. And what he does is he leads all the children out of each of these towns, and that's how he gets the children, and then the story ends. That's exactly what is happening. You see, when the conquerors come in, conqueror does not say, I'm coming here to conquer you. They say, I'm coming here in the name of peace. We're going to play this song for you, and everybody is going to love the songs. And the children, they don't know, they're in a trance. Read that story. You can look that story. It's a nursery rhyme, the Pied Piper, and you can see it in any children's book, any library. Google it, you'll see. And that's exactly what has happened. That will answer your questions in whole and 100%. That is what is happening. That's why people are dying to get to someplace else.